On August 20th, 1794, a battlefield near the Maumee River became a turning point in the struggle over the Northwest Territory. The fight is remembered as the Battle of Fallen Timbers because storm-damaged trees covered the ground where warriors of the Western Confederacy met the Legion of the United States. The clash lasted far less than the political crisis that produced it, but its consequences reached into land policy, treaty-making, military reform, and the future of native sovereignty in the Ohio Country. The background was not a simple border dispute. After the American Revolution, the United States claimed authority north of the Ohio River, while native nations including Shawnee, Miami, Delaware, Wyandot, Ottawa, Potawatomi, and others defended homelands and diplomatic independence. British posts in the region, especially around the Great Lakes, complicated every calculation. The new republic was weak, its army small, and its promises to settlers outran its ability to control the ground. Earlier American campaigns had failed badly. In 1791, a force under Arthur St. Clair suffered a devastating defeat by native Confederacy fighters. That disaster shocked federal leaders and proved that militia expeditions and loose planning could not secure the Northwest Territory. President George Washington's administration responded by building a more professional force, the Legion of the United States, commanded by Major General Anthony Wayne. Wayne's reputation for discipline mattered because the army had to be rebuilt from embarrassment. At Legionville and then along the advance toward the Maumee, soldiers trained, drilled, built roads, guarded supply lines, and constructed forts. This preparation was not background detail. It was the mechanism that allowed the United States to return after earlier failure. Fallen Timbers was fought by an army designed to avoid repeating St. Clair's defeat. Wayne also refused to hurry into the kind of exposed advance that had destroyed St. Clair's force. The Legion moved behind a chain of fortified supply points, with pack animals, wagons, scouts, and work parties keeping food and ammunition connected to the army. Fort Recovery was built on the ground of St. Clair's defeat. When Confederacy fighters attacked it in the summer of 1794, the post held. The episode showed that the new system could survive pressure that would once have broken an expedition. Farther north, Wayne established Fort Defiance at the meeting of the Auglaize and Maumee Rivers. Its location threatened a center of native settlement and food production while giving the Legion another protected base. This was warfare through logistics as much as through battle. Each road and fort narrowed the Confederacy's room to maneuver, placed crops and villages within reach, and demonstrated that the Federal Army intended to remain after the campaign season ended. The Western Confederacy also had reasons to stand and fight. Leaders such as Blue Jacket and Little Turtle understood that American forts and settlements threatened a much larger political order. Their strategy was shaped by knowledge of terrain, alliance politics, and hopes that British support near Fort Miami would restrain American expansion. The Confederacy was not a single nation under one simple command. It was a coalition defending territory through diplomacy and war. The battlefield itself shaped the engagement. A recent storm had knocked down trees, leaving tangled trunks and branches across the ground. The position could disrupt American formations and offer cover, but it also made rapid movement difficult for everyone. Wayne's troops advanced with infantry, mounted volunteers, and artillery in a coordinated attack intended to push through the resistance before the Confederacy could settle into a longer fight. When the battle opened, the Legion moved aggressively. Wayne ordered a bayonet advance through the obstruction, using trained regulars to break the line while mounted troops threatened the flanks. The fighting was brief but consequential. Native warriors fell back toward the British-held Fort Miami, expecting at least refuge or support. The fort's gates remained closed. That decision revealed the limits of British backing at the critical moment. Fort Miami had been erected by the British near the rapids only months before the battle, a visible reminder that Britain had not fully withdrawn from the region promised to the United States after the Revolution. Yet the garrison faced a dangerous choice. Opening the fort to the retreating coalition or firing on Wayne's troops could trigger open war with the United States. British officers chose not to cross that line. The fort remained a symbol of imperial influence but not a sanctuary. Coalition leaders had planned in a world where British power mattered. At the decisive moment, that power stopped short of direct intervention. The military result gave the United States leverage, but the human consequence was larger than a battlefield score. Wayne's men destroyed nearby villages and crops, deepening the pressure on native communities already facing war, hunger, and diplomatic isolation. Victory meant that federal power could now convert military success into negotiations under duress. For many native families, Fallen Timbers was not an isolated fight, it was part of dispossession. The following year, the Treaty of Greenville forced large land cessions and opened much of present-day Ohio to American settlement. The treaty did not end native resistance everywhere, and it did not erase indigenous claims or memory, but it marked a major shift in the balance of power in the Old Northwest. The United States had shown it could field a disciplined army, protect settlement corridors, and compel a new boundary. The negotiations at Greenville lasted for weeks and brought together Wayne and delegates from numerous native nations. They were diplomatic proceedings, but the bargaining conditions had been created by military defeat, destroyed food supplies, and the continued presence of American forts. The resulting boundary transferred most of present-day Ohio and additional strategic sites to the United States. In exchange, the treaty promised payments and recognized lands beyond the cession line. Those terms did not make the exchange equal. They show how conquest could be translated into maps, annuities, roads, and settlement policy. Without ending the struggle over sovereignty, surviving evidence has to be read carefully because the sources do not speak with one voice. American records emphasize Wayne's preparation and battlefield success, while native perspectives emphasize homeland defense, alliance diplomacy, and the cost of defeat. According to public history summaries and contemporary federal correspondence, the battle's meaning came from context as much as from casualties. The likely lesson for Washington's administration was that a trained regular army could do what earlier expeditions had failed to do. For native communities, the same record points to coercion. Military pressure made later negotiations unequal before delegates ever sat down. The geography also matters as evidence. The Maumee Corridor connected villages, trade, British influence, and American lines of advance. Forts were not just buildings, they were claims of authority placed on roads and rivers. When historians debate Fallen Timbers, they are often debating how to weigh military discipline against diplomacy, hunger, displacement, and imperial calculation. That debate keeps the episode from becoming a simple victory story. It was a cause-and-effect turning point whose aftermath shaped settlement, resistance, and memory for decades. Fallen Timbers still matters because it reveals how the early republic expanded. The story includes military reform, settler pressure, native diplomacy, British imperial calculation, and environmental detail on a small piece of ground. It is tempting to reduce the battle to Wayne's victory or to a stepping stone toward Ohio statehood. A clearer history sees a turning point in which preparation, coalition politics, and unequal consequences met among the fallen trees. The anniversary should therefore be remembered with caution. It was a federal victory, but also a defeat for native nations defending homes and political autonomy. It helped define the United States as a continental power, but it did so through force and treaty pressure. On August 20th, 1794, the fight at Fallen Timbers showed that the future of the Northwest Territory would be decided not by slogans, but by armies, alliances, land, and memory.